Nobody warns you about what silence sounds like. That's the thing that breaks people first, not the darkness, not the cold, but the absolute absence of the hum. That electric frequency your nervous system has been synchronized to for 30 years, the vibration in the walls that you've learned to ignore so completely that you only notice it when it stops. And when it does stop, when the grid collapses and the transformer explodes 3 blocks away, your brain takes approximately 40 seconds to realize that everything has changed. The panic that follows isn't irrational, it's perfectly calibrated. It's your biology doing exactly what it evolved to do when the fundamental system supporting life suddenly goes silent. Your stress hormones spike, your breathing accelerates. You reach for your phone in the darkness, a gesture so automatic it doesn't even require conscious thought, and find nothing but a dead weight in your hand. And right there, in that moment, you begin to fail. What makes a blackout so different from other collapse events is that it happens with surgical precision. The grid dies everywhere at once. There's no gradual warning, no time to adapt, no slow motion descent. 1 second the world is humming with electricity, the next second it isn't. And in that instant, several million people simultaneously realize they no longer know how to do the things they need to survive. This is what the grid does. It doesn't just provide power, it provides a framework for survival so complete that you've forgotten you're dependent on it. And when it vanishes, certain skills become mandatory, not optional, not nice to have, but absolutely essential. The people who master them live. The people who don't, they become statistics in the darkness. Here's the terrifying part. You don't forget these skills because you're unprepared. You forget them because you're civilized, because you've spent your entire life in a system where someone else maintains the infrastructure, where expertise is outsourced, where the knowledge you actually need has been systematically replaced by the ability to pay someone who knows. And when payment systems fail, when expertise is suddenly inaccessible, you're left staring at the geometry of your own ignorance. The first critical skill is manual water sourcing and purification. Everyone assumes they'll turn on a tap during a blackout. This is the fundamental mistake. Water treatment facilities require electricity to pressurize the pipes, to chemically treat the water, to monitor the system. Within 6 hours of a total blackout, municipal water either stops flowing or becomes contaminated. The intelligent response seems obvious. Go get water from somewhere. From a stream, a lake, a neighbor's pool. Bottled water. The water that was always there before we had pipes. But here's where the trap closes. The moment you drink untreated water in a collapsing situation, you've set a timer. Not immediately, that's what makes it so insidious. The pathogens take 3 to 5 days to activate. Cryptosporidium, Giardia, coliform bacteria, they work quietly, colonizing your intestines while you're focused on the next immediate crisis. By day 5, when the diarrhea starts, when you're losing fluids and losing the ability to maintain body temperature, you've already contaminated your primary water source by drinking from it. You've poisoned the well in the most literal sense. The people who survive don't source water randomly. They use 3 specific techniques in sequence. First, boiling. If you have any way to generate heat, a camp stove, a fire, anything boiling kills 99.9% of pathogens. 20 minutes of rolling boil, full sterilization. Second, if boiling isn't possible, solar disinfection. Clear bottles, direct sunlight, 6 hours. It actually works better than most people realize because UV light is brutal to microorganisms. Third, if neither is available, calcium hypochlorite bleach-based powder at specific ratios. 2 drops of regular bleach per liter if you have nothing else. The chemistry is non-negotiable and forgiveness is 0. The second critical skill is navigation without external systems. GPS stops working within 30 seconds of a grid collapse because satellites rely on ground-based infrastructure. Compasses become unreliable near cities because of electromagnetic interference from dying power lines. Maps printed on paper become your only reliable navigation tool. And the critical detail is that most people own 0 paper maps. They own maps on their phones. Dead weight, useless, But this is worse than just not knowing where to go. This is about losing the ability to calibrate direction. Humans are terrible at maintaining cardinal direction without external reference points. We drift, we circle, in darkness or heavy cloud cover, without landmarks. People confidently walk in circles for hours. There are documented cases of people, 30 meters from their starting point, absolutely convinced they've traveled miles, because they lost calibration. The people who survive learn two things. First, magnetic declination. The difference between magnetic north and true north. Your compass doesn't point where your map thinks it points. The correction varies by geographic location, sometimes by degrees. Calibrating this correctly adds hours to your useful navigation distance. Second, terrain association. You stop thinking about go north. You think about landmarks. You tie direction to permanent features. Water always flows downhill. Roads follow ridgelines. Vegetation changes at elevational boundaries. You navigate like humans did for 10,000 years, using relationship between yourself and the landscape. The third critical skill is fire starting redundancy. You think you know how to make fire. Everyone does. Lighter, matches, friction. But this is where cognitive decay becomes lethal. When you're cold, when you're stressed, when your fine motor control is compromised by hypothermia, those friction methods fail. Bow drill fires take 15 to 30 minutes even when you're trained, and the first time you try it under pressure, in darkness, with numb fingers, you will fail. The survivors carry 7 different fire starting methods, not out of paranoia, out of probability. Lighters, matches, flint and steel, ferro rod, magnifying glass, fire plow, hand drill. The pattern is that each one has specific failure modes. Lighters flood, matches get damp, flint requires dry tinder. Each method works under different conditions. The people who don't make it carried one method and assumed it would work. The fourth critical skill is shelter temperature management without electrical systems. Your house isn't shelter during a blackout. It's a heat sink. A massive heat sink that pulls warmth out of your body and dissipates it into the walls and the atmosphere. Modern homes are built for ventilation and air conditioning. They're built to lose heat. In a blackout, you will be significantly colder inside your home than you will be under a proper survival shelter, because proper survival shelters are engineered to trap body heat. Small space, insulation, windbreak, thermal mass. The people who die in winter blackouts die in their homes. They think they're safer. They think they're in their shelter, so they stay put and lose core temperature steadily over 12 to 18 hours. By the time they realize the danger, they're already hypothermic and decision-making is compromised. Hypothermia is the silent killer because the victims are usually found warm. They've removed their clothing in the terminal stage, convinced they're overheating. The people who survive build a shelter within their home if necessary. A closet, a bedroom, wrapped with insulation blankets, clothing, whatever material is available, creating a space small enough that their body heat will actually warm it. Or they move to the most thermally efficient space, basements, underground, where ground temperature stays relatively constant year-round. The specific technique is creating a shelter within the shelter, a small insulated box that your body heat alone can warm to survivable temperature. The fifth critical skill is wound management and infection prevention. In normal times, a minor cut gets disinfected, maybe a bandage, and your immune system handles it. In a blackout with no antibiotics available, with no access to medical care, with stress and malnutrition driving your immune response down, that same minor cut can become a septic infection that kills you in 5 days. The people who survive are obsessive about wound prevention and treatment. They maintain a specific medical kit, not a general first aid kit, but a specific survival medical kit focused on infection prevention. Honey for wound dressing. Medical grade honey has antimicrobial properties that work better than modern antibiotics in some cases. Salt water irrigation, elevation, clean bandages changed regularly. They understand that in a collapse situation, any infection is potentially lethal. These 5 skills aren't theoretical. They're the difference between people who maintain function and people who fail. And the reason they're forgotten is because they've been systematized out of our daily existence. We don't forage because we have grocery stores. We don't navigate because we have GPS. We don't make fire because we have lighters. We don't build shelters because we have houses. We don't prevent infections because we have antibiotics delivered by emergency services. But the moment those systems fail, and they will fail, you will discover that you don't know how to do any of these things. The knowledge has been externalized. The skills have atrophied. And nature doesn't care about your education or your intelligence. Nature cares about whether you know how to get water that won't kill you. The blackout will come. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but the grid is fragile, and the dependencies are absolute. When it finally fails, the people who survive won't be the smartest or the richest. They'll be the people who learned to do these 5 things before the darkness came. They'll be the people who understand that civilization is a service, not a guarantee. And they'll be the people who mastered the fundamental mechanics of survival, the ones that your body already knows, that your ancestors knew, that you've forgotten because you've been too comfortable for too long.